Let's talk about the waking nightmare that is the Path of Spring event live right now in Raid Shadow Legends. How the heck are you, everybody? I am Fastidious, and I want to say right out of the gate, this god-awful event, which ends in 5 hours, I am not angry at Polarium or the game at all. I'm angry at this guy, yours truly. Me, myself, I. I am a dumb piece of shit. Mind my language. I am a fool, and I should have never put myself in this situation. Frankly, this was a fusion I wanted to skip, but because of a couple things we'll talk about briefly in this video, I ended up doing it anyway. Nah, let's just talk about it now. So basically, they had Deacon and Armons on Progressive last week, so I decided to go for that and inadvertently completed the summon rush. So I was like, all right, I guess we're all in on this fusion, and here I am busting my ball sack for a fusion I don't really want to do. And it all has come down to this Path of Spring. And the most foolish thing I ever did was think that I could complete this by getting artifacts and accessories. I have put so much energy into all three of the OG gear dungeons, Ice Golem, Dragon, and Fire Knight. I've put like 7,000 energy into this, and I've barely put a dent into this event. So the big lesson, I don't want to bury the lead, the big lesson learned from this by me, and hopefully I can share with you. A lot of you probably already knew it. When you get this Path event, it's only the second or third one I've ever seen, and I think only the second one I've ever participated in. Definitely the second one I've ever actively participated in. It was this and the one for Fabian's Soul. It is not a, you can do a little bit of this and a little bit of this, a little bit of that, maybe a little bit of that. No, it is a summoning event. There's nothing more to it. The way you get points is by summoning champions from shards. You can see behind me, we got our mysteries, ancients, voids, primals, and sacreds. The delusional idea I put in my head, the pure delusion I gobbled up and sold myself that I could do almost all of this with energy by farming dungeons because I really need gear. And I thought, hey, it's kind of like a dungeon divers that I really need to complete and really want to complete. It was a foolish idea thought out by a foolish person. So lesson learned, when you see these, you can totally participate in them. And actually, it's not such an insane price. I mean, I think it's a little wacky. It comes out to about 7 or 8 sacred shards you would have to pull to guarantee maxing this for the 50 fragments, which is the minimum anyone would need from this. And of course, if you do a little bit of dungeon diving, then it's 6 or 7, something like that. But yeah, lesson learned. This is a summoning event. So the next video you see from me, probably a couple hours after this one, will be me summoning. Why am I not doing it in this video? Well, I'm going to do all the math. I've made my sheets and everything. Pretty proud of this. I hate that to do this efficiently, I have to make spreadsheets, but I do. Maybe eventually we'll have this tied into my website. So I can like help people track as they go. But this is just a brutal event and it's a summoning event. So the reason I'm going to do it a little later, I still have 5 hours left. I've got a ton of energy. I bought an energy pack and I'm about to buy another energy pack because it's towards the end of the month and I have a ton of budget left. We'll cover that in a video in about 4 or 5 days where I do my end of the month recap on how I spent my budget. If you're new here, I do a series called Balling on a Budget where I spend exactly $150 a month on this account trying to get the best bang for my buck. But you can see I am locked and loaded with energy, and then we've got 4.6 here. I'm not going to burn all of that, of course, in the next 5 hours, but probably over the next 3 or 4 hours, I will be farming up a bit more. So where do we stand? Well, let me tell you what the optimal path is. I want to give a shout out to Boozer, because I'm definitely following an optimal path, in part because he put out a few different paths and it helped me key in on what I think the right path is. He was really close to what the path I'm choosing is, but I'll just walk you through it now. In the future, I can do a little trace along guideline. I do think I've got a good sense of how these events work now that I've done a couple, but I've definitely leaned on amazing creators like Boozer since I was away from Raid for many years, and these events did not exist from 2019 to 2022, 2023, or maybe they just come in 2023 when I stopped playing. You can see we went for this first row here. We're going to work our way down. It's kind of like a weird path I took, but essentially, if you wanted to see the clean version, it's like boop, 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 boop. We're all trying to get down to this key here. You can just, there's a lot of these forks, so you can take a more creative thing to get the rewards you want. But essentially what I've done is this. Now I need to get one of these two 6,000 rewards, then grab a key. I can then grab this glyph, grab a key, and get my first fragments. From these fragments, I can then grab my second key, and then I can go all the way back to the top, and it's very cheap here, 6,000 total, cheap. I can go this, use my second key, grab my last 25 fragments. So before this event, if you max everything else out, which I did, and frankly, I did do quite easily, you had 350 fragments for Yuzon, the epic that's a part of this Lysanther fusion. You had 350 to grab on the table. So you need to get a minimum of 50 from this path. Unless you're a big spender, you just had a ton of summons you wanted to summon this weekend for some reason, I do hope you didn't need more than the 50, because there are 100 up for grabs, but it's not fun, and I don't like it. It's kind of fun finding the path, but it's kind of a headache also, especially when it all comes down to summoning. So if we look at where I stand right now, this was the plan. Getting key 1, I kind of showed you. It was this 250, 500, 1,000, 2,500, 4,000, 3,000, 6,000, 1,000, and that all comes out to 18,250 points just to get that first key. That's obviously the hardest part. You can see step 2, 3, and 4. Those are only 7,500, 1,000, and 6,000 each. It adds up to 14,500. So, that's a nice chunk less than this. That's 3,750 less than just getting the first key. I'm towards the end. So if you want to see my current progress, I've done everything up until the 6,000 and the 1,000. So I've done the math here. This is the sum of everything I've already crossed out. I have used 11,250. So that's how much I've earned and then used currently. If you want to see that, it's boop, 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 boop. And now here, boop here, right? Now I'm going to come back. Probably, I think I can't decide which I want. It basically comes down to, do I want this legendary chaos ore or do I want the dust? I think I'll probably go for the chaos ore. So we'll snag the ore, then the key. So I have 7,000 left on that first key, the 6,000, the 1,000 there. And then you can see currently I wrote this number earned. That's what I'm sitting on. So I'm sitting on 3,013. So if I want to see how many remaining points I need, well, let me show you. To get the first 25 frags, it's pretty easy. We get this key, then we go back to where we left off over here with these brews. We grab this glyph for 3,500, we unlock, and we grab the first 25 frags for 7,500 total, right? 4,000 for those, 3,500. So 4,000 for the frags. This little step is 7,500 total. So I can go back here and show you that's that 7,500. This is an awesome tip, and it was from the comment section of Boozer's video that I saw this. You can sneak straight from here to here. Boom. Just get that second key. So that's why I'm taking that specific path. So it's only 1,000 then for step 3 to get key number 2. That's just something Boozer did differently in his video that I did the math on, and it's a little bit cheaper. It's like 500 cheaper. You can go all the way back up to here to where I claimed this little potion. You can get this 4-star speed lift unlock with that second key we already got, and then 4,000 for the last 25 frags. So that's 6,000 for the last step. So you can see I've got 7,000 remaining here, 7,500 here, 1,600. Add it all together, and you can see left I have to get 21,500 points. I've already earned the 3,013 I'm currently sitting on. So when you subtract that, the remaining stuff that I need comes out to 18,487. That is a nightmare. Right now, I've been earning about 1.8 points per energy spent on any of the stage 20 gear dungeons. From my testing, that seems to be the most efficient. So if you want to know how much more energy I'd have to spend, it is a simple and very frightening calculation. This number divided by 1.8, let's just make it an integer. We're looking at over 10,000 energy. That's not going to happen. I'd love to spend, 2 or 3. I think I could pull that off, but I can't do the full 10,000. So because of that, we go over here. So you can see I've hidden a column. This is where I wrote how many points you get for each shard. So in this event, let me make myself a little smaller. You do get 3 points per mystery, a fairly generous 450 points per ancient, 750 per void. We got 1,800 per primal and 4,500 per sacred. Here I've written in my current quantities. So yeah, if you guys want me to make tools like this, I can definitely try to in the future. I just kind of made this as I went. I don't know if other creators make spreadsheets like this. I would assume they do. And then you can see it's the calculation. So I've hidden this column. I can hide it again, but basically I'm just multiplying column G by column H, and that's the max I can get right now, given the current shard quantities I have of everything. So in total, I've got 30,500 points on the board. I only need 18,500, so I can leave 12K on the board. Basically, I'd love to not touch my voids or my sacreds. But if we are to do that, here's my use column. So this is what I'm actually going to do, and then it should spit out my actual points. I'd love to get a sense of what if I didn't use my sacreds and didn't use my voids. Feels like I should definitely use my ancients. At 450 in ancient, that feels like a generous amount. Mysteries, I'm happy to use. Primals, I don't care about primals. I'm never going to pull a mythical. I've accepted that. So let's dump this in. If I was to use everything of these three, right? 117 would be sick, but no, it's 17. And then my two primals, I'd be at 12,501 points. So if we do a little math here, of my remaining points I need, let's subtract that. How many more points would I have to get from diving? About 6,000. So let's divide that by the 1.8. And I think that's what I'm going to do. I think in the next 5 hours, if I run Dragon 20, which I can run in like a minute 50 to 2 minutes 10 seconds, we can put a big chunk into that. If I have to pull a sacred, I guess we could do it, but I think that's my plan. So I talked you through the math a little bit. I'm going to pull for sure my ancients later tonight and my two primals, and if I have to, all these mysteries. I'd love to not touch the voids. I'd love to not touch the sacreds. But TLDR, let's wrap this thing up. This event, it's not Plarium's fault, right? Like, I'm sure you guys were loaded with this information because you've done stuff like this before. I've never had to really go deep on an event like this. When we had Fabian, it was a champ training with summoning. So I went pretty nuts on the champ training for the 5-star Fabian Soul. I was prepared to do it. I knew it was coming. I'm a young account here, guys. I'm like day 75, I believe, something like that. Let me show you quickly. Day 75 exactly. So I was like, champ training is what I want to do. I'll go crazy. This, I don't know. Dungeon diving isn't the worst thing. I've got a couple cool pieces as I've gone through this, but it's kind of turned into a nightmare. So lesson learned. Hopefully you guys can learn from my foolishness as well. Be fully prepared for this to functionally be a summoning event that you can supplement with a little dungeon diving, right? But in no way is this a dungeon diving event that you can supplement with a little summoning. That's the end of the video there, guys. Wish me luck later tonight when I do my summons. You can see I would love to preserve these two over here. We do have the 2x on the sacreds. So actually, frankly, maybe what I'll do is I'll rip one sacred. Actually, before I sign up, let me actually do that math. What if I do one sacred? That gives us a 17K. So I'm going to do as much farming over the next 3 hours in Dragon 20 as I can. You know, just going to have that running nonstop. And then I'll see. But maybe, let's YOLO one of those. Maybe I get my boy Black Tusk. I will say, Dwarves are my favorite faction, but also Dwarves are the only faction I've completely maxed in Faction Wars currently. But I guess hard Faction Wars would be on the horizon. Yeah, maybe we'll rip one Sacred just to double up on the 2x with the Progressive. I think that's what we're going to do. Thank you guys so much for watching. I have been Fastidious. If you like my stuff, please do let me know. If you don't like my stuff, please also let me know. Share with your mother, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Fastidious.